Welcome to episode 49 of the Corey Shepherd podcast. Between a rock and a hard place. Welcome back to everybody who's been listening. Welcome to everybody who joined in for the first time, right? Thanks for coming. But between a rock and a hard place. The news heavy. I know I don't like the heavy episodes and things, but there's a whole, I'm looking at a list in front of me, and there's a list full of heaviness. The problem with me is, I still want to make some joke within the heaviness, but I don't know if it's appropriate. I don't want to get myself in no trouble and go and bad talk nobody and say no wrong thing. And I between a rock and a hard place, all wrong. Because YouTube trying to fight my greatness. When I'm trying to make my joke and I pull my clips, apparently I can't say certain people's name on podcasts. So last week I called some people names that rhyme with Schmil Schmates and Schmilender Schmates. And the episode get pulled down. I keep trying to upload it back and it getting deleted. And I ain't getting no notification as to what happened. Eh? So I know when vaccine, I ain't getting no vaccine. They ain't going no vaccine. When I go, they go tell, I show on a no vaccine list already. We don't care fly already. But I am not calling certain people name again. I tried to go back into the episode from last week. Anybody who missed it, episode 48. I tried to pull out the parts where I talk about Schmil Schmates and Schmilender Schmates. And pull out all the clips associated with that. So hopefully the episodes stay up. And if you didn't catch it, you could run back on YouTube and get that. And of course, if you can't get it on YouTube, you could always find it on the Cadence Club, right? Just Google it, Corey Shepherd Podcast. You know, I mean, Google it. I gain up there, you know what I mean? But yeah, you could find it. You could find it on the Cadence Club or on any podcast app. Anywhere that you listen to podcasts usually, you could go back. But I will try. So you understand what's going on now? When I do an episode, I could either plan it to not use anything that or say any names that YouTube could have issues with, or I could do it and then edit out the parts. And I mean, it was some kind of lame. I find so. Like Joe Budden is my podcast, right? So Joe Budden on their regular podcast, you would hear everything that they play, including music and everything. And on YouTube, you just hear blank spots when they're supposed to be playing music, and they try to talk and fill it in and everything. But that not happening. All that happening at quandary, because Joe Budden podcast come on, I think it's over. For anybody who's a Joe Budden podcast fan, I think it's a wrap. It's a wrap. They had the issues, business issues or friend issues between Joe, Rory and Mal. And now men on vacation and no podcast. The whole place done heavy already. And I have no podcast to turn to just distract me from the heaviness. And I don't know if I'm going to pay how much money they want a month for Patreon, like $5 or $25 a month. I ain't think I pay no Patreon to go and listen to no podcast now, but hopefully they're back soon. But anyway, I between a rock and a hard place. What we gonna do? We're gonna have a heavy episode and just talk about all the heavy things, or we're gonna get some kicks in between. What we gonna do? We're gonna throw it to the wind, throw caution to the wind and go for it. What we gonna do? Laugh at the Alsing? Maybe I should start by talking about the Alsing, right? No, having a press conference every day had to be a real tiring thing. And you having to find something to say. I struggle sometimes to find things to say when I come here to record. Because I'm trying to figure out now what I say last week, boy. Did I cover this topic? What I say about that? I'll listen back to episode, find clips, research thing. I'll go through something. I say, that ain't so funny. I ain't like it. This, I don't like that. I go into a whole lot. So I might talk about 5, 6 topics or 10 topics here. And I had to go through 50 topics to get down to some things that I feel making some sense and we could talk about, right? I can't imagine having to do this every day and find something to talk about. And to be honest with you, if I had to do this every day, I would have lied to. But you wept. I would have lied to. You would have lied to. Every day. And the thing about it, when your boss there, you ever in a meeting with your boss and you have nothing to say. Meeting going good, you have nothing to contribute, everything running smooth. And then your boss turn and say, Corey, anything on your end? You had to say something. When your boss asks you something in a meeting, you have to say something. I learned that the hard way. I remember going to a meeting one time in my younger years and thing. And the thing reached to me. And listen, the meeting was a little tense too, but I really didn't have nothing to say. Everybody was saying things. Every time I think about something to say, a man before me say, they are in a circle, Anytime you're meeting is in a circle, is a headache, is a problem. And if people working for you, don't put them in a circle, right? Stop putting people through them thing and feelings meeting. We have to talk about your feelings and everybody talk. We don't like it, right? But I reach wrong by me, boy. My TSTT days are young, my shirt big, I can't even fit in my shirt. And when the thing reached by me, man say, and this is when B Mobile now dealing with the issues where Digicel coming into the market. And this is before B Mobile is Cellnet. If people can remember back that far. And boy, them reached to me after everybody talk about competition and with jobs and this and that and all kind of everything I think about somebody said. So when they reach by me, like, all right, so Corey, what do you think about Digicel? I say, I don't think nothing. Boy, listen, that man, I can't remember what my boss name, boy. I wouldn't call his name anyway because that man tell me some mean kind of things in this life. I ain't gonna call the man name, but I remember the look that man give me. That man give me a kind of stare. And I thinking, well, you staring at me ain't gonna help me come up with nothing. I had nothing to say. And I done turn to my left now in the circle to hear what the next man had to say. I say, well, nah, I good, I cool, I smooth. I just turn to the left and I try to see what the next man and all next to me, like he's shocked because like he still needed a little time to think. But we don't want to sit down in no circle and have no meeting. But anyway, when your boss, the Rowlers, is having press conference and talking and saying everything that he had to say, and we in rough times, everybody know what the numbers looking like, what the health system under pressure. Within last week they say we had 10 days to it collapsing. And then every day that passed, we lost another day. This and we hear voice notes talking about the system done collapse already. One man said, "That is it. It had no more collapse to come." And then in the midst of all that and all that thing, the man turns to you. After you don't talk, he don't talk every day. The Rowlers just come out when he needs to come out. He coming out when it's big dog time. The old sing, get the mic and that man say, let me play for you what you say. And let me break down why exactly he lie. Because all of we been in this position before, whether it's in a meeting on your job or sometime your mother, hey, happy Mother's Day to all the mothers. I forget the Mother's Day thing, I terrible with this, but I plan all kind of things from before and I still forget. So happy Mother's Day to my mother, the greatest mother on earth. Happy Mother's Day to my wife, the greatest mother on earth. Happy Mother's Day to my stepmother, the greatest mother. Let me not go through the whole list. It's a long list. But happy Mother's Day to all the mothers of Trinidad and Tobago, especially in these trying times. We need all you. But yeah, all of us been in a position before where people ask you thing, your mother asks you a question, and you had a lie. What you go do? Your woman, your wife. Boy, listen, let me talk to the men. I can't talk for women. But when you get, it's a certain question. When you get them question, you don't know you lied. And you know the thing about it, as the older I get, I realize, especially when I having my son now, I wonder how my parents used to put up with me when I lie. Because you lie on them so obvious. Everybody know you're lying. Your whole face looking like a lie. Or you do the, like me. I terrible at that. So when you brace me and you ask me, hey, so. You know why it's coming? I say, that man, it can't be just me, right? You's being that way. You had to say, You had to think quick though. You know a lie is coming, and when I lie, me I changed my mind. You know. I lying down to the last. Deny, cry. I not changing my mind about what I said. So I'm gonna do a breakdown for you as to where exactly we figure out the Alsing was lying. Listen to this clip, right?
It is the same way I felt this morning driving into Port of Spain.
You lie out the gate. Out the gate. You open in the bathroom. You wasn't driving in tongue that morning. And you know what I know? Yeah, I put myself in my own shoes, you know. Because when you get catch and you're lying, you just overtell your story. So you done say you're driving into Port of Spain this morning, right? But here where he went from the way he started to overtell his story, when you're trying to convince yourself about your own lie. He must see it on CCN live stream. Because he's trying to convince himself that he was there now. Here where he say after that.
And taking the route next to the Brian Lara Promenade.
Any woman know. Hey, listen, Forget, fellas, don't let us take this on. Any woman who listening to this know, because woman is knowing a man lying. Them know he Why didn't just say I was driving by the promenade this morning? That's literally like one sentence. I was driving into Port of Spain, taking the route along the Brian Lara promenade. The thing I used to do wasn't there. And everybody know it wasn't there. Your statement and adding up, you're over talking and selling out your lie. Where you go next?
And I wept. I really wept.
You lie. You hear a woman knowing. From the time he started to say he wept, I really wept, and he got into dramatic tone. Like if you're trying to, like if you feel there's some kind of series you're watching, it's like, dude, what is going on with you? You got, you really wept. Any woman who listening to that, no, you wasn't at no promenade, you didn't see nobody, you hear about that, or you see that on a live stream, or you watch it in a WhatsApp group just like we, you say, look at these fools, anything. But your boss calling you to talk, so you had to say something, and I'm making joke and thing, but the situation real serious. So my guy went into serious mode one time, you know what I mean? He had to say something. But where we went from there?
When I saw what was taking place at the Brian Lara Promenade this morning at 8:30, a total disregard for the public health measures.
Oh man,
it was sad.
Oh.
I pulled aside and I literally, a tear came to my eye. It did.
It did catch me, though. It did is where it
we
happened.
We don't know what else to do.
A tear came from my eye.
To get the man in the street to understand
I expected to hear like
how
young and
severe
restless
this
music
is,
coming
but also how important their role is.
How is end up an episode. You know what I mean? To make you have to wait down to hear what is coming next. But so
people on Brian Lara Promenade, I have no problem with people drinking the White Coke and Coca-Cola that time in the morning. But do it home. Don't do it on Brian Lara Promenade. Sitting next to each other, a foot apart with your mask off.
I hope YouTube don't fight me too much, but
congregating in 10s and 20s. With your mask off,
everybody know
around a bench.
We thank you for
that is not what we need right now.
Getting up there every single day.
We need to see our streets clear.
I mean, I talk about it as overkill and them thing, but especially when the numbers get like how they are and everybody worried and thing, I'm grateful to have a health minister who there and showing up and very present and in the midst of everything. And again, salute to Dr. Parasram, Dr. Hines, Dr. Richards, who are forgetting. They have a bunch of them on the technocrat side, the doctors who also there every day and keeping us informed, giving us the warnings. It's so hard it wasn't a nice thing to hear how disappointed the health thing was in everybody. You know, I was always arguing about the press conferences, talking like they're scolding people and things, but just to let them know we're listening. We're trying our best. We making the adjustments. I see a big change in the way people behaving now too, and I making the adjustments myself. So we here for it. The numbers are what they are. Condolences to everybody who's lost somebody. And this is what I was saying is a tricky thing about Trinidad is such a small place that when you look at bigger cities who went through this before, we were talking last time about India going through this and New York and in Italy this happened before. Some cities that went through that in those countries are bigger than our whole country. So one of the things that make this difficult for us is that everybody is going to know the people who pass away. Or let me say it differently. The people who pass away, they connected to everybody in some kind of way. Even if you didn't know them, you're going to know somebody who know them. It come like we living in a little village, So if this thing really take a rampage on us, and our healthcare system get overwhelmed, we have a real problem, and I'm starting to see it already. You're starting to see it already with the people who passing away, and it's a rough one, boy. We had a nurse who passed away last week, now a doctor passed away, people who battling on the front lines and things. And I mean, my appeal to everybody, and I always talking to myself when I say these things too, right, is that we had to find ways to do the right things and take precaution and take care of ourselves, even if it's for somebody else you're doing it. Even if it's for the older people or the more vulnerable in society, you're doing it for them, or the people who have pre-existing conditions or predisposed to illnesses and so on, or, or the healthcare workers and frontline workers, or the people in the pharmacy who work in the groceries, the taxi drivers and everybody who on the road every single day trying to keep this place afloat and keep things moving. We had to behave better for them, boy. We had to take care of ourselves on their behalf. Because a sad thing when we're going out there, talking about the doctors and nurses specifically, it's a hard thing to be going out there every day fighting. And then if somehow you get exposed or something happen, which you're more likely to get exposed than the average person, I would think, because you're there every day. Imagine you get sick now in a time where you can't get the care or you can't recover from it. And we see it again with a family where lost a father and a son. Another family I was following the story on it where the husband was on ICU or on a ventilator and his wife come and die. Young people, 30-something, 40-something years old. Boy, them things rough. And we don't want to end up in a situation where every day is stories like those. And, you're looking at things like I saw last week. I actually forgot to talk about it last week with Jamie Thomas passing away. God bless his soul too, and condolences to his family. Such a personality. Not that he passed away from COVID. The point I was trying to make was that every time you see somebody pass away now, your first thought is, I wonder if it's COVID or it's something else. But I saw Lawrence Beast Marshall, another one who everybody know. The guy, I know him around Long Circular, gym and them kind of things. He's a bodybuilder, so of course he around the gym, right? But he's one of them people who I see a lot of people, and mostly gym buffs who I know from Long Circular in particular, talking about him and expressing the condolences and stuff. And I trying to remember him and see, I know I see him around the gym and stuff, but I never really hear him talk. For a big dude, I don't remember ever having a conversation with him or hearing him say anything. He's just a gentle giant. And when you see the what is called them, like dedications, like what people had to say about him on Facebook and Instagram and everything, you could see that he touched a lot of people. And it's the same thing I was saying about Jamie Thomas last week. He touched plenty of people. I mean, I was never nobody to sit down and listen to gospel music on the radio at all. And I mean, I didn't even know that to me, he was always gospel, I thought. But it seemed as though he had his days as a regular DJ or announcer before that, and then he went fully into gospel music and so on. And I remember him on I-95.5. He was just a cool dude to listen to when you listen to it. He just uplift your vibes. No matter what kind of music he playing or what he was into, he used to come on an after lunch shift on I-95.5 back in the day. And the man he just have a spirit that's just uplift anybody who listening to him. So we in that kind of space where I even see Chinese Laundry come in and talk about his personal assistant pass away. The boy, listen, it's a rough time, rough. We don't want to continue going down this road. And boy, listen, Dr. Hines, a doctor is a hell of a man. Because if I was one of them doctors, I would have wept like the Alsing and shed a tear. I did. At some point, because it's such a heavy thing to deal with every day. And I just look at Dr. Hines showing you these charts. That man make a real chart in this thing. That man's storage, he had the biggest cloud storage I've ever had. Because every day, he's showing you new charts, new updates, and new presentations. I was like, this dude is busy. This man is working. But when he's showing you where it's going, and he basically talking, I mean, very, very matter of fact, but you could hear him saying it while he going through it. The hope is that the new measures and the new restrictions will get us to the point where we're seeing a decrease. But, I mean, no luck so far. We're seeing 400 and something, 300 and something, the highest numbers we ever had. So, and the vaccination process, I guess it's moving. We seeing some light. We seeing some Sinopharm on the horizon. We seeing some AstraZeneca. Things looking like if they're on the up. I want to say that, I want to take my time and say that. But it looking like if we could get some other vaccines in the country and more people could get at least some kind of prevention or some kind of safeguard from ending up in hospital or dying from COVID. And I find the Express. I don't like to come on here and talk about the media and think too much, I depend on the media a lot for stories that I come here and talk about all the time. But I find, and this is something we had always said, where the retraction is be so small and quite down in the back of the papers, while the first article was on a page 3. And I guess we accept that for what it is and stuff. But what the Express do with Jamie Thomas, I find it was real disrespectful. If you don't know, the Express had run with a story saying that Jamie Thomas had recently gotten the AstraZeneca vaccine. Now, I came here and I say how frightened I is for the vaccine and thing before. And I wish I didn't say that. Because I think any effort to get the place vaccinated is a good effort. It's a step in the right direction. I just expressing my own personal fears, and maybe I should keep that to myself sometimes. Because it's not a good thing to discourage people or fearmonger when it comes to a vaccine. I have so much of vaccine in my system already. So, you know, and none of them for things that affected the world in this way at the time when I was taking the vaccine. Think about the things we take vaccines for. A lot of the things we take vaccines for, they were long gone. The time when that issue was ravaging the place. We born long after that. But now we're in the midst of it. So we had to do this and do the right thing and get ourselves correct. But one of the issues is how they reported on this thing, because everybody who passed away, I always be thinking, oh God, boy, like it's COVID. You know what I mean? As a security guard, I mean, God bless her soul, Michelle. She used to work TSCT, one of the nicest people I ever meet. I see news that she passed away. You're wondering if it's COVID. It wasn't that. But that's the first thought that comes to your mind already. We saw shell shock, PTSD and thing, right? When the newspapers and thing and the media run with a story that says Franklin can pass away and he take the vaccine a couple of days before, you're causing a few issues there. Number one, you're putting two things together out there. You're kind of suggesting it, but you're not saying it. And then it making me question it now, and I'm sure many other people question it as, hey, well, I guess some kind of link with this. What's going on? And when we question it and nobody answers on the side of the medical people or the politicians on the press conferences, or they say, hey, it have nothing to do with that, you're putting us in a position where we already kind of want to doubt them. He's like, hey, but how you mean it has nothing to do with that? How you know this? That? It's like, why you had to say that? I'm trying to understand why you have to say that. And then, okay, so Franklin Khan, apparently it was confirmed with that. And here now, that more sad news, because this man's funeral and then the aunt guy has attack and pass away. It's just one of them weeks in Trinidad. One of them weeks. But Jamie Thomas' partner tell all you, he take the vaccine a couple of days before. I'm wondering if that is like how you go with a story in a place like the Express. You know what I mean? I'm trying to put myself in their position, and if I come in to talk about it on the podcast and somebody partner tell me that, if I will go with it, if the impact of the story could be so big. So they went and they say it in the article when they were reporting that he passed away. And of course, then all they do the retraction saying, I had to find the retraction, because listen, the retraction, boy, beyond the fact that they just use about 10-15 words for a retraction, is the way they write it, boy. They put it at the end of an article headline, tributes pour in for Jamie. And that article was, it's a good article talking about how many different people, the radio stations he worked for, and all the tributes that came from those stations and his contribution to the gospel fraternity in Trinidad. They even reference his last post, which would have been, a candle loses nothing by lighting another candle. And he was expressing his condolences for somebody else as one of his last posts. In the end of an article like that, and the funny thing about it is, One Caribbean Media, he would have been working there for some time, because he was there at I-95.5 for sure, and then he was at 107.1. So OCM would be the company that he would have been working for, at least for a period of time. And the Express is also owned by OCM. But so they ran with the story the day before and said that in the midst of the article, where a throwaway line in the article, after all the things they said he passed, they say he had a murmur in his heart, all different types of things. And then in the midst of it, they said he took the AstraZeneca vaccine last Friday. At the end of this one now, they say, correction. Thomas's family yesterday denied he had taken the AstraZeneca vaccine. A friend of Thomas had told the Express that he had taken the vaccine last Friday, which was included in a story on page 7 on the Express yesterday. The misinformation is regretted. you see, when you it come like the same thing I'm talking about the Yalsing line, you know. When you see how to repeat yourself too much, so you're apologizing for doing something, but you're saying, hey, but your friend tell me, you know. So I don't know if that's supposed to mean like, is his friend to blame for you not validating a story? Or if it means that, hey, you had a print where you had a print, so when then it's correction time, you could just put the correction. But it was in poor taste, boy. And when you add to it all the ways that I mean, I get it from the Express more than anybody else. It seems as though, I guess they know it will be a popular story and it will be talked about, I guess, when you try to make associations about the vaccine and that kind of thing. But I mean, right? One of them things. Let me just try and get vaccinated. Let me get through this period, so less heaviness in the air. I mean, at the end of the day, is, you know, the funny thing about the whole lockdown thing, I am all depressed, but the whole lockdown period is like till end of next week. When you think about it, it's not forever. It's still end of next week. It's really not that far. So we could do the right thing in the interim, both as citizens and as corporate citizens. Because I see PriceSmart. I don't know what went on with PriceSmart last week. And I would also say that PriceSmart, out of all the places I go to in Shogunas, them men is being a little loose with the way they're managing the coming and going within the store. I say that openly. Anybody who go in PriceSmart in Shogunas, if you know where is wash your hands, it's a little, they can't see you wash your hands from by the door. Let me give you an example of Extra Foods, who I find is a real good example of somebody who take this serious from the beginning and they don't play. They hire people to sanitize all the carts. So when you go in for a cart by Extra Foods in Shogunas at least, when you walk in that store, they have somebody wiping down the carts and they had a steamer and that kind of thing steaming. So you're not going and get to touch a cart that somebody else just used. They have a whole squad. When you go up by the cashier and you empty your cart, somebody waits until they're taking that and they're going to steam and clean it and everything. They also have a security by the door who watching the sink and them, who pointing you to the sink. It's like, hey, go and wash your hands and think. If you ain't wash your hand long, it's one of them too. If you wash your hand, you know how we do the fingertip wash and bust out? He's like, nah, wash your hands. like a father talking to children. And he making you go and do the right thing. So you go, you wash your hands, then you go and you get your sanitized cart and you go ahead and you make your groceries and so on. You know, at least it seemed to be an effort to make the thing good. Whereas PriceSmart cannot see if nobody washed their hands. So people coming straight from the car park, you know how it is, right? You have to get your cart quite in the car park sometimes. So after somebody done pack up their car, you're taking that cart directly from the person. That can't be good for these times we're going through here. That is to only extend the lockdown till past the end of next week. When you reach by the door now, they handing you one of them wet ones, like where you clean with your baby wipes. They hand you like, boy, you know. Might feel like make this up. Yes, like they hand you a piece of little wet one. And this is after you done pushing the cart probably from the car park all the way through the door. They hand you that and they say, right, you wipe down your car. I don't know what nobody checking to make sure that the person actually wiped down the cart or nothing. And then you're going through and do your thing. Then they also never change the process when you're leaving the grocery where you handing a man a receipt for him to write up whatever and they handing you back. Listen, I don't know when, listen, the whole thing was not well managed by PriceSmart. But funny enough, as soon as the boss come and say, listen, discount clubs and things close, and I understand the move to close the discount stores. So, in other words, people was, I guess they're doing it based on how much people still congregating. And as monotone as Dr. Hines is, you hear the worry in the man voices like, hey, if we keep congregating and having house parties and going to, you know what I mean? So they shut down all of retail. So it means that anybody who need retail type items, not groceries and thing, but fridge and thing and clothes and a knife and fork and, you know, PriceSmart has a whole bunch of things they sell. All kinds of things you ain't need, but you feel to buy when you go there. Anybody who need them things had to head PriceSmart now because everywhere else closed. So them congregating. And so said, so done. Because the day the man announced, discount stores had to close. Membership clubs is what I'm trying to say. Membership places had to close, which means PriceSmart. You see a video come out that day with a PriceSmart security coming downstairs, the one in La Romaine, to tell people they can't go in. And there's a long line of people to head in there. So PriceSmart quickly come back and say, here we're going on. You need no cards to come here again. So membership clubs close. We suspend all membership. I said, what the hell is this, boy? And they're talking about we. You know, they talk about the individual, and we talking about people who this and that and who going on the beach and they want to, you know, the corporate guys. Trinidad is a real culture we facing. We facing a cultural issue because it's just who we are as people. Suspend membership clubs. Look how many different types of businesses. Take, you know, they buy the bullet and they close for the period of time. Look how much restaurants close. The argument might be, if they close for 2 weeks, all this stuff goes spoil. But look at how much restaurants Buzo now started putting by the road. They had to push back in the tent inside fast. The Buzo tent never see light of day. Buzo had come out of the tent saying they're selling outside when it still was allowing street side food. It never see the light of day. KFC make a food truck. Right now it park up in what gas it. But PriceSmart can't take no form of lockdown. So them say, boy, nah, no members needed, no card. And we only selling groceries. So them convert themselves into... And somebody get them a blind, because some kind of call make behind the scenes. And apparently they was allowed to go ahead and do this instead of taking the 2 weeks lockdown. Everybody trying to find a loophole or a way out. Like if... Yeah, I see somebody had posted, I forget who was saying that on Facebook last week. You know, somebody was saying, we talking about the lockdowns like the lockdown is a major issue. And that COVID is not the real major issue. I myself could be faulted for doing that. So, all right, PriceSmart, all anything. And you know, find myself as much as a bad talking, no matter go by PriceSmart just Sunday this week. And it's a whole different ball game. They have a security now by the they're still doing the thing where you're getting the cart from the car park. So PriceSmart, all you had to fix that. Because when I pack away my groceries and thing, a lady come and she waiting by my car to take the cart, and I had to tell her, well, you know what I mean, you should sanitize the cart or go for a cart that I don't know where's the efforts to sanitize carts by PriceSmart. All you need to start doing that. You're finding all kind of loophole to stay open when you're supposed to be closed. Well, find the loophole to do the right thing too now and help the situation. Contribute. You know what I mean? It might cost you some wet wipes, but I'm sure you sell wet wipes inside there already. Use your own wet wipes and wipe down the cart and thing, man. Okay, come on. But one thing I could say is that when I went there, PriceSmart was real empty. If it's what we heeding the regulations this time, you know, I feel we frightened. I've been saying I frightened for a couple of weeks now, but people like that now get frightened. We wasn't frightened Easter time, but we frightened now. Because the numbers are real high and it's morbid. It's very, very sad when you see this amongst a death toll going up. Every day we're looking forward to it. We stop watching the press conference, we get complacent and think, no, as press conference come, nobody had nothing to do. Everybody on press conference time. So it's good to see that. And I was driving up Chagonas. I go in and head by my extra food's good. But when I watch PriceSmart car park, I say, but wait, nobody is in PriceSmart. And when I went in, so said, so done. People ain't even going along. You know, some other groceries that's smaller than PriceSmart. Make a little rule. You know, some of the groceries I'd say is a one-way down the aisle, so you ain't bouncing up nobody. And they show you the arrows. You have to go, oh God, I can at least do that to PriceSmart. Just say, this is the route. Everybody follow the same route, so nobody in coming in contact with nobody who they didn't come with. And they also, so many of the groceries, I think the Grocery Association had said it, if I'm not mistaken, where when you come in these stores, you alone, no family members. PriceSmart still had people who come to a cart and thing. I mean, there's so much all they could change. But boy, when you went there, nobody ain't trying to go down the same lane. Once them see somebody in that lane, people moving. I myself, once I see somebody in that lane, I heading out elsewhere. We going back to good protocol. So I expect, based on my little, that was my own scientific observation of what's happening in the society. They are using that to say everything that's happening in Trinidad and Tobago, we're supposed to be good. We heading for the backside of the curve sometime soon. And hopefully the 23rd is the end of it. But I read something interesting. Which is a real nerd mode. Eh? I read something interesting. I want to share it with all. I don't know how popular this is. But somebody in a class I was doing, salute to my class in Guyana. And they came up with this... she was telling me about this thing called the Peltzman effect. I never heard about it before, so I'm going to tell you about it like if you never hear about it before too. The idea is about risk compensation. So Peltzman is basically an economist, right? And he was saying that his theory came out from road safety laws. And what he was saying is when you think that a lot is put in place to safeguard you, your behavior is start to get a little bit risky. It's Peltzman effect, right? Peltzman. You could Google it. He said when you're a lot of road safety, any country where you have a lot of road safety, the individual tends to be able to take on more risk at that point in time because you think you're going to be safe. So what he's saying basically is that when vehicles were unsafe and the road was unsafe, people were more cautious. But when vehicle gets seatbelt, it get airbags, a lot of regulations get put in place in terms of speed limit, this, that, and the other. People now start to feel like if I take the chances, nothing go happen to me. So he say instead of those things like the road regulations in particular, his theory came from the fact that when they put more road regulations in place to keep people safer, accidents actually went up. So fatalities went down because of the technology and the things we put in place. But the amount of accidents went up because we get a little more reckless, to put it loosely, right? And I seen, well, she was telling me about it, as a person in the class was telling me about it in relation to what happened with COVID, and it make perfect sense. And when she said it, and I start seeing a lot of articles been written about this already. I never heard about this before. But it makes so much sense. And I think is exactly what happened to us in Trinidad here. Because we, unlike many other societies, so we like to compare ourselves to the US, right? But we, unlike them, took an enormous amount of very stringent measures very early out in the game. We closed our borders pretty early. We closed schools pretty early. Same time the borders closed, school closed. That means school closed completely for more than a year now, a year and a couple months, from March last year. So children were not in circulation. We didn't have to drive to drop children to school. It limits a lot of movement. There's no flying in and out of the country. So at least we know, I guess you can manage who here. In theory, we went through a few different phases of lockdowns, from complete lockdowns where the private sector. I remember one time you couldn't go to work at all. You had to walk around with a letter saying you're an essential worker. And I was by the roundabout by the fire station down in Sauder. And police stopped every single car. You had to show them your letter and tell them where, and they was making you turn around. So men who don't have their thing, they sending you back in the next direction. And cinemas closed. So you know the regulations. So we have had so much things put in place for our safety for so long. And according to Peltzman, that might be the reason why we take in more risk. I like theories like this, I like people who make sense of things like this. Instead of, like I was saying last week, instead of people who just saying, oh God, Trinis do this and Trinis do care and Trinis do this, they're different from nobody else in the world. We're going through the same things everybody else going through. This man theory wasn't written about Trinidad. So when you see more and more people taking these risks, taking chances, I mean, I know what's going on. Is Laventille Road it was, or up in Laventille, where the police come to stop a party and then it shoots out and thing. I know what Peltzman go say about that. That was a lot. That's a huge risk now. But I was thinking is more, number one, the frustration of being locked down. Once you have those lockdowns for that length of time and people not getting no outlet, you go have a problem. I also thought it was complacency. I know for myself, complacency started setting when we see the numbers low every day. You start to feel like this is not a problem anymore. And you start to be a little more loose with your movements and with your regular precaution. Like, I remember when COVID just started, I had a little space outside where I used to take off my clothes and thing. When I reach home, I ain't coming in the house with my clothes. First I frighten. I wash my hand and I thing outside. I take off my clothes. I put it in a special COVID basket and then I come inside. But I forget all them things. But now when I went Price Smart, it's back to square one there. So I thought it was the complacency too. But what Peltzman saying, they're making perfect sense. We feel like so many things have been there to safeguard us that particularly over those weeks leading up to Easter and just after Easter, where we get through the carnival, everything was good, we were smooth. I think Peltzman started to affect we in them times where we feel like we're safe, so we take a lot more risk. And we pay any price for it. And sadly, some people pay any price, the ultimate price. So this is our time to try to pull this back. And again, based on my little scientific observations, which mean very little, I find people pulling it back. When from what I seen on the road and so on, there's a lot less traffic, and definitely people. You know what you're seeing? Like people very concerned. So people going back to the time when we were, deliberately making a distance between us and other people and so on. So I think we're on the right track, and we will continue to monitor the numbers. And they warn me, they say, I get once a warning saying, don't do no COVID podcast. And we 40 minutes in, and I think all we talk about is COVID. So let's see what else it have here. Yeah, boy. Like everything on this list is COVID. The promenade block off, Woodford Square and thing close are going through it fast. Promenade block off, Woodford Square and thing close up. We also saw last week where Massy Gas or some of the companies who doing oxygen tanks, they say the country was running short of oxygen, but then the bosses say it have enough oxygen in the system and so on. So we're supposed to be good where they're concerned. Nurse come and say the healthcare system done overwhelmed already. It's a 1 man to 45 patients is what the man say. It seemed as though when they were talking about 10 days to collapse, whatever we did, we pushed back that date, so we're on a good road. All right, that's it. No more COVID. We had to go out of the country for non-COVID news. Let me see what happened in the rest of the world. First and foremost, Will Smith is a problem in my life. I don't like it. I don't know if only see this thing Will Smith do, where Will Smith come and pose off. Will Smith, you check Will Smith's Instagram, right? Will Smith had one of the more interesting Instagram it have out there anyway. But he come and pose off, showing a big belly, basically. I didn't like it, because the way he posed, like he come and say, I want to find the exact quote for you, because it upset me. Let me see what his caption was. He said, "This is the body that carried me through an entire pandemic and countless days grazing through the pantry. I love this body, but I want to feel better. No more midnight muffins, this is it. I'm getting the best shape of my life. And teaming up with YouTube and to get my health and wellness back on track, hope this works." I don't like this. You know what upset me about this? Will Smith is a man play Muhammad Ali. You remember how we used to look when he played Muhammad Ali? How big and strong he was? Cut up 100%. In movies like I Am Legend. As a matter of fact, almost every movie, down to Bad Boys 3, which was not a very good movie if you ask me. Bad Boys 3 was just long for no reason. Only watch that? Like, Bad Boys 1 and 2, I could watch whenever it come on TV. And coincidentally, I learned something from Neola this week too. I know I'm straying from the point here, but Neola Zama, if you don't know Neola Zama is a therapist who usually comes on here and gives us some good info on things, and we have some podcast lineup too. She was saying that when you watch a lot of reruns, it could help with your anxiety. She says a comfort thing. It's like, why we listen to the same song over and over. Peter, shouldn't talk about this. That's supposed to come in the episode. All right, when Neola come on, listen to that, right? Back to Will Smith. In Bad Boys 3, which don't have much rewatch value, if you ask me. It was just real long and complex. I didn't enjoy it 100. You remember how we was laughing at Martin Lawrence when Martin was looking fat? Martin was looking real fat. Like he could have acted in Big Mama's house with no costume, kind of fat. And Will Smith was looking like his normal diesel, strong self and everything. So I find like you could do this for Bad Boys 3 and make Martin look a little better. If you know you had the ability to be a fat man all the time, we had to come back diesel for on Bad Boys 3 to make Martin, who is the legend, one of the greatest comics of all time, you make the man look bad. Now you come and pose up. And the thing about it is you talking about how you're saying and your COVID weight. This is exactly how I look in real life. If you see a picture of this post with Will Smith, this is my body since I am about 21. So I'm feeling like I attacked that kind of way. Like, look, what you could just pose up, you come like you put your head on my body, and your mama guy in me a kind of way. And you know what's the sad part? In about 6 weeks, Will Smith going and post up another picture because everybody take on this thing, of the Big Willie challenge apparently. Everybody, all these internet celebrities and regular folks post up them picture too with their big belly and everybody looking. You know what's the sad part? In about 6 weeks, Will Smith gonna be looking just like how he was looking in Ali. And he gonna make a big reveal and go on away. And you know what's gonna happen? We gonna be looking just like how we was looking when he put. I don't like this. I find it real disrespectful. You could have taken your thing private. Nobody didn't bounce to know you was looking so and you bounce back. If you had a movie role to play, You'd never come and show this. I feel that way. I really feel that way about my own body and my own issues. And the fact that I go and still eat junk and eat all kind of muffin at midnight is my name. And this man must be not eating nothing. He eating a bunch of watercress and lettuce and all these kind of things. And he gonna come back diesel and strong and make everybody else look bad. So I'm upset. But Will Smith, good luck on your journey. I don't want to see what the transformation look like. What's happened out there? I think I might have talked too fast about Derek Chauvin. I was all well and good, and I was saying, kind of like, especially in these lockdowns, we have even more lockdowns now. I'm asking, and I ain't getting no responses as to whether I could head back to Starlight. Because we locked down again. We still in COVID. It's a year on. Derek Chauvin get convicted. But maybe I talk too fast on that. Because, of course, his lawyers come to raise some kind of thing to impeach or throw the case or some kind of thing like that. So again, that is automatically back on the radar. Because I want to see what's going to happen with that. Remember I was saying that Amber Geiger had come back and tried to get her sentence overturned after being so sorry and this and that. The same appeal process that she has accessed. It seemed to be that Derek Chauvin going down that same road. And only we had to follow these stories, because it's easy to get upset about these things and make whether it be protest, riot, whatever it is, what we do locally here in the Savannah, stand up for our rights, stand up for what we believe in. It's easy to do that. And then when the conviction comes, you celebrate that like if there's something, you know what I mean? And then the story fades to black. And then somewhere 3-4 years down the road, you hear that the person free, they go on their way and they, you know what I mean? We can't afford to do that. So I will do my part and I will keep following the story as I'm doing with Amber Geiger with Botham Jean. I was particularly, this story mashed me up because the man was a St. Lucian, to be honest. He's a Caribbean man like we. So I'm watching it again. She's in the process of the appeal, and a Texas court is trying to figure out whether they're going to throw out the murder conviction or not. That happening now. So we have to be careful. We have to be very careful how we celebrate these things. And it's almost like we always have to look for the follow through on it to see what it really came down to. And it's really not a revenge thing, It's just to see where we are in society as black people. What they could do, what they could get away with. What does it take to pacify us as a people? Is it just that we give them a conviction, you do a year or two? I think Amber Geiger, that Botham Jean murder was 2018, if I'm not mistaken. So what we do, we give them a 3 years, like if it's petty thief, and then overturn it and let them go. We had to keep on top of these stories. So I will do my part and I will keep reporting on it every time I see something about it, so that hopefully we have the same energy if it overturned that we had a year ago when it was a big issue. And I remember Chappelle, like that was a turning point for me when Chappelle had come out and do that. Was it 846 was the name of the what he had done on Netflix? It wasn't on Netflix. That one was on YouTube. Let me see if it was 846. Let me see how good my memory is. Yeah, 846. Check out that on YouTube if you never see it. So just look for 846 Dave Chappelle. And the way he puts it across, I mean, Dave Chappelle really is the legend. The way he put it across really changed a lot. I mean, not to say that people weren't responding to it already, but I think he, as a comedian, had a lot of impact on how much people picked it up. And funny enough, that was that time too when that issue happened with the murder of George Floyd. That was that time too where Trinidad was in complete lockdown. So we almost, it's like we had a lot of time to pay a lot of attention to it. And whereas we in a full lockdown now, while the states might be open, we have some time to pay attention to the whether it being overturned and these things, even though the states might be paying attention to it as much. And talking about Chappelle is not one who does a lot of interviews and that kind of thing. But he finally made his way to Joe Rogan podcast. If you're a Joe Rogan fan, or whether you are or not, is one that you should take it. Because number one, Dave Chappelle and Joe Rogan seem to have a genuine relationship. Like them men, there's talk, there's friends, they're cool with one another. And they have been two of the people who really pushing the comedy scene in the States. I know how much you all following this, but because so many different places locked down, comedy clubs is one of the places that really didn't open back up. But what Dave Chappelle did, he lives out in Ohio, and he had on his ranch a series of shows where people had to get tested and everything before they came in, and they sat socially distant. So if you look at that 846 special, that was actually the first one that he did on that ranch. And you will see people have on the Chappelle masks and they're separated, and it's different to a regular comedy show where you could hear laughter and everything after every punchline clear. It was muffled, of course, because it's coming through a mask. But it was good of him to make something happen, you know? I mean, it's so good to get some entertainment in this little, whatever this thing is, boy. So he also started doing shows. Joe Rogan used to do his podcast out in California, and he had moved to Texas to start doing shows. And then Chappelle show up in Texas, and they start doing shows out there in a place called Stubbs. And the sad thing about comedy for pirates like myself is that you don't really get to see, especially with Chappelle. You can't see his shows. He's locked your phone up apparently. But that's something when the borders open back, if I have the opportunity to go and see that, I will definitely go. I was never really a big fan of Joe Rogan's stand-up, but I like his podcast a lot. And he and Chappelle, through them stub shows, seem to be organizing tours. Because apparently they're doing things they're going back out to LA to do a huge show. They're doing shows in Vegas. They have like a list of shows or places that they're going to. But apparently in Texas is like a lot of shows. So I hope everybody who out there, if you're into that, you could get a chance to go to them shows, because I would love to see a Chappelle live. And just to see Rogan would be something. But he on the podcast this week, and I remember him going on there with Donnell Rawlings some time ago, and it was good. But see, hearing his conversations and the way he sees the world is something to take in. But he's slow, the way he's think and the way he's put things together and stuff. When I say slow, you know what I mean? He's deliberate with the way he's talk and stuff. And it's different to hearing him on stage when everything packaged and polished as a act or a bit. And just hearing him talking naturally about some of these things we're going through and the way we see the world and politics and them types of things. So if you have a spare 3 hours and some change, taking Dave Chappelle on Joe Rogan show for sure. And as we mentioned, Texas, I saw something happen in Texas this week that was real interesting too. I wonder how it go work down here. Texas done with all gun license. It's not surprising, right? The wild, wild west. Texas say you don't need no license again to carry no firearm. Anybody who over the age of 21 and don't have any prior convictions, and I suppose you still have to satisfy some kind of mental health things when you go to buy the firearm, but you don't need a license, and you could openly carry a weapon. And I don't know how that works. Like, I have 2 ways of thinking about that. When you know everybody have a gun, people will probably behave. It got less petty thief, man, is snatching nothing from anything. Nobody, imagine, I want to know what's the house break-in numbers in Texas. You know, Trinidad have this thing going wrong where people could come in your house, people trying to rob your house and take your things. And if everybody in Trinidad, you think you could live in a Trinidad like that, boy, it make me wonder when I see that Texas story. Like, we can live in a society where everybody have a weapon. So it's a long process now where you have to apply for a firearm, right? Imagine a world where they just say, here we go. You just go in any gun shop, buy a gun, and you're good to go. No problems. Once you're over 21, you could have your weapon. I wonder what I will do for crime overall. Because, sometimes it's feel here like if it's only the criminals that have guns. And then the innocent man now who behind any family doing, seeing about his life, had a burglar-proof lock themselves in to try to lock people out and them kind of thing. It just make me wonder, I wonder how you all feel about that. If we had guns everywhere, no licenses, and we just shoot. I know, number one, I would not be the best candidate to live in a society like that because, to be honest with you, I go shoot all the wrong things. I's not a man, I's not a no gun. I go shoot for all the wrong reasons. All the gun safety and them things I will go through. But I kind of like the idea when people if I seeing something I like, I could just pop two in the air. I want to shoot nobody, you know. But like you got bad driving, pow pow pow, you just bust some in the air and get. But they see this is my problem again. I could only do that if I had guns, and not everybody. If I do that when everybody else have a gun, that could be the enemy. But I was just thinking out loud. Texas, that's the scene now, and I mean that. Can that work in Trinidad? What do you think? As we back to Trinidad, forget them Yankees and the Monday news, right? As we back to Trinidad, let's talk about some sports here now. We don't have much going on in sports, you know. Bravo gone St. Lucia. And that is it for TKR. Well, I shouldn't say that. I think Pollard will still take the TKR, but Bravo in St. Lucia now. But beyond that, there are sports story I was avoiding all the time, right? You know how I feel about Soca Warriors already. And I'm backing them. A sailing with the boat link off. What did the song go? A sailing with the boat sink or float, right? According to Trini. So I tried to take in a little bit of the futsal action, at least the news. So we went and played the CONCACAF Futsal Championship in Guatemala. And salute to Lasana Liebert, whoever I wrap up on this on Wired 868. Listen, it's rough. I'm trying to find the bright spots, you know. I don't want to bad talk them and saying I don't hear a man done vex from the time you started talk about the side, man getting vexed. They went, which was their bright spot. They went, right? They arrived and they reached safely and so on, and nobody, no COVID or anything like that. Everybody was good. But beyond that, it's not too much a bright spot, you know. We play 2 games, we get licks in the 2 games. We get 6-2 if I'm not mistaken. And we went up 4-3 with Guatemala. The way I see the clips going around online, I say Trinidad win the game big because I see a man score from we goal to them goal. I feel named Che Benny. Salute that man. How transferable these skills are. When you play futsal, you could like play football, like on a field. I'm not sure if these things very transferable or what is happening because I see men like what's the man name, boy? Is that a youth man used to play up front for Trinidad, like the Soca Warriors team? I can't remember his name now, something with a P. And he on the futsal team now, so I don't know if that means he playing for the national team still or I don't know how transferable this skill is. But get Che Benny now because we're going to need goals in these next round of qualifying. Coincidentally, we're coming back to qualifying soon, you know. By beginning of next month, we're back to World Cup qualifiers. But when I see the goals we score and we looking good and, you know what I mean, knocking around or scoring from distance, only to find out that all the highlights they were showing was just Trinidad goals and we score 3 and we collect 4. But the thing that's standing out in this article that Lasana right here is that we, in the 4 games that we play while this man was in charge, 2 friendlies and 2 competitive games. What was my boy name? Constantine Constant. That's something like lie to. That's something just like the Alsing repeating the same thing over again. Constantine Constant. That's the man name. But my guy, under his stewardship, we have scored 8 goals. If any of the 8 goals are anything like what Che Benny scored, if all the rest of them anywhere near that quality, that is excellence. We can't be that. But my guy also conceded 25 goals in that space of time. And when I get it's just licks coming and going. So salute to my guys. That's still the part of my Soca Warriors and thing, but we had to temper ourselves. I'm not sure how we measure like great performances because people talk about how good we play against Guatemala and think, what is we measuring? All right, so if we win, but we come close, we lost by a little bit. So we lost 6-2 by Dominican Republic. I don't know, me know if these skills transferable, but Dominican Republic, they have no football side. If you say Guatemala, I can understand, but somehow we lost big to Guatemala and compete more. Lost big to Dominican Republic. Ooh, I don't know them to be playing no football. Maybe there's a big futsal country. But we come closer with Guatemala. But good luck to the fellas. I hope they stick together. I don't know what happens from futsal. From here, I don't know much about it at all. But it's make me wonder what we measure as success. Because I was talking about coming up to our Olympics next, this year in Tokyo. And I'm feeling like if we need to change up some of the Olympic games to suit what we're very good at. Like, you remember Sports Day long time when it used to have like walk and wine? We can't just petition. So, all right, put it this way. every sport in the Olympics, especially some of the ones that we not accustomed seeing and things, somebody went and lobby and petition for us for them to get that in the thing. So like when you know what I mean, we know bow and arrow. You have a bow and arrow, you go and shoot on somebody playing cowboy, and in a long time we shoot. Somebody take archery now is a big Olympic sport, and you have a gold medal that you could get, right? Like we say, they lobby for that, and I would think that the people who lobbying for that is the people who find it's a genuine sport and them good at it already. So they put themselves at an advantage, and you have to beat them for the gold medals now. We can't go to the Olympic Committee and just like a walk and wine competition. We cannot lose. You know what I mean? You only remember sports days when you saw walk and wine. What else they used to have? You have the potato sack race. We had to change up this thing. You know, we cannot be going. We clearly we're struggling to be. We can't beat nobody in futsal. A man from Guyana telling me we play Sheldon Battle, so we had to come out of the World Cup qualifying. We breaking the rules there, and then we struggling to beat side like Puerto Rico. Them man no football side. Who's Puerto Rico? Nobody don't know them in no football. We struggling. We struggling with all the tradition. We trying to play the white man game. What we putting myself through this for? Why we can't have a potato sack race? Or remember when you used to do a beer drinking race? Why we can't do that? Is there some people who sucking down beer and eating hot pepper and thing outside them? We could do that. We could do man eating hot dog competition. I mean, who the most hot dog in them? We can't eat that. We need to know hot dog. Go and give you a hot pepper thing. We could lobby if all of us come together and we start to write letters to the Olympic Committee. You telling me we can't get one of them things? Remember when you used to have a bun race? So you had to eat the bun. They tie the bun on them on a string. And they tie your hand behind the back and you eat the bun. Why these things can't be sports like all the rest of sports or a three-legged race? Why these could be sports too? If they could do a long jump and somebody else could come and say a triple jump, why we can't change the race from 100, 200, the hurdles, them thing, to a little walk and wine? So I find we need to get serious about sports in this country and make a little change to what we're doing in the Olympics. We're wasting time and good energy. So I all for it. I mean, salute to the futsal team. Good luck for the Soca Warriors in the upcoming preparation. Of course, we go check on that and see where they're going overall. But on the more serious news in sports, Chelsea is in the Champions League final. That is always good news. Once we never lost a Champions League final yet. We are 100% in all the Champions League final that we go to. I have no expectation that it will be any different when we go to this final. So as another thing I'm watching in the sports world, and salute to them guys, and we're going to bring them a little trophy. We need uplifting things. You know, people tell me don't talk about COVID for the whole episode, so I'm talking uplifting things. But the uplifting thing's done, so I'm going right back to COVID. Sorry. Oh no, wait, I can't come off of sports yet. Sorry, I didn't talk about that. Forget that. One of the biggest stories out of sports. Oh, my guy, Wayne Shepherd, my cousin, I tell you that like my bigger brother, you know. He's officially in Taiwan picking up a job as a coach for, I'm going to mess up this name, Inter Taiwan FC in Taiwan. So salute to my guy. Listen, they try to lock down the man. They try to fight him on how it had no sports going on in Trinidad at all. He must be going crazy without sports. Either coaching, playing, or watching. That's all I know him to be doing. So salute to my guy. He's out in Taiwan. He find a way out of here and he find a way back into sports, even in the dreadest lockdowns here. So that's a great move if you ask me. It's a second division side, but they have a good opportunity to get up to first division in Taiwan. And who better to take them to first division than a little Trini? If you have a little Trini coach, and I mean, if it's a Shepherd, well, all the better. And I mean, he get. I wonder what I mean for, because he was appointed national under 15 assistant coach. Oh, the article saying here it wouldn't be stopped. Let me read it. That might make some more sense. Domestic sport in Trinidad and Tobago is on pause at present and has been for much of the past 13 months. Since the onset of the COVID-19 pandemic. Arima North Secondary Team Technical Director and former Trinidad and Tobago Boys National Under-15 team and QPCC FC assistant coach Wayne Barney Shepherd would not be stopped. Oh no, that is it. So they're saying former national coach. So that is it for the national coaching. But it don't seem as though he was getting his money under Haddad anyway. and the normalization committee. So he out there in Taiwan. So I hope that goes well. He on a 2 weeks quarantine right now. I spoke to him a couple of days ago, and he enjoying the place. And I'm just glad to see that. It's a great move. It's a good move for us in sports locally. Anywhere we have more people getting more experience, will always do better for our game locally. Because them men will always come back and contribute to the youth. So the more they learn, the better for us overall. And check out the Birdie and Barney podcast if you never take it in. The last episode actually was talking about, it was him and Lasana talking about, with Shaka Hislop, talking about those same issues that Trinidad and Tobago team facing. If you're a fan of the Soca Warriors, take in them fellas podcast. Not just the last episode. There's a lot of, they have a rich history about Trinidad football that you should really check out. But when the little insights they give you into the way the game is run here, might change your perspective, not on how much of a fan you are of the country or the team, because I think both of them, in fairness to them, love the country and love the team and want to see the game develop. But it certainly changed my expectation of what I going out there to see when I pay my money to go and see a game, or watching this game with bated breath to see how we do and stuff. It really changed my perspective a lot. So check them fellas out. That's the Birdie and Barney podcast. Is every other Wednesday, and it's on all these streaming platforms. So back to COVID, but good news this time. Article by Joel Julian, I've seen it on CNC 3 page here. A salary relief grant for the month of May will be made available for people who have lost their jobs during the period because of the restrictions put in place to stop the spread of COVID-19. This is what was said by Finance Minister Colm Imbert. He had a press conference himself on Sunday or Monday. Surprisingly, I didn't see or hear from him in a while. But he had a press conference, and that's what it was to talk about. So they're saying that $1,500 would be available to people who lost their jobs at the start of the month, assuming that it's May, and $1,000 would be made available for those who have lost their job over the last few days. So I guess $1,500 if you lost your job from 1st of May, and then maybe if you lost your job mid-month is $1,000. They're saying that the overall budgeted amount is $30 million. Now, a few things, when this pandemic first started, a few things happened where financial relief was to be provided. Because you know me, I always go back to the economy and boy, listen, I be frightened for it overall, right? We had to do what we had to do, but we had to study what happened after this too. Or when we learn to live with this better, what we going to do? So they had come out with some same salary relief grants, and also you could apply for a grant. I believe it's up to 6 months at the first time, or if it's not 6 months, it's 3 months. Where if you had lost your job, you could apply for that and get some support. Now, I don't know nobody who actually get that, and we went through situations where we were trying to guide people to the ministry to apply for it, and there was nothing clear saying, boy, it was real confusing at first where you had to go to get it and stuff, and I'm sure some people got it, but it didn't seem to be the clearest thing, and nobody I know who went through the system had gotten it. Additionally, it was for 6 months. I guess the government can't sit down and anticipate how long we will be within this, be in these COVID situations or be under restriction or anything like that. So that's a hard one to figure out. But this one is also a little bit odd. While I'm glad for it, I'm glad that anybody could get any kind of help, because that's one of the issues. So when people constantly comparing us to New Zealand to say, hey, let's do this, let's do that, or, well, at one point it was Sweden as well, where Sweden was saying, hey, free up the whole place, let everybody get, what do they call it again? Herd immunity. You remember that? That went terribly wrong. But people were saying, why we don't do like Sweden in the beginning? Or a lot of people saying, why we don't do like the States or New Zealand? But people forgetting that in those countries, they also have a lot of relief. Them fellas have the budgets to do things. So they're giving people a lot of relief if you wasn't working. A lot of concessions to be able to work from home or stay home. I remember Dubai having a robust system in terms of managing how people go on the road and those types of things. But we are not that. Especially when I see how the first one roll out, because the relief thing was unclear how exactly you're going to collect that money. There was something else they had done. Oh, they asked the bank to do deferrals, and then the deferral thing turned out to be iffy. Well, I mean, it was good because you didn't have to pay the thing, and if money wasn't coming in, you get a 3-month deferral in the first instance, you could apply to extend it and all that. But of course, the banks never really moved. You still had to pay the interest on the amount every month, or add on time to the end of your loan to continue paying, and maybe even increase your principal. Who knows? Or pay off your once the 3-month deferral done, they send you a bill for all the interest that was due at the point in time. And I mean, it making it, I guess, just that more difficult to manage. I understand that it's still something, it's better than nothing. But, and that's why I say I'm grateful for the 1,500 and the 1,000. But my question is, what happens beyond the end of this month? Because I don't know that when the place locked down and I lost my job, it means I walk back into a job when the place open back up. I assume that there's some restaurants that would just call back the people out, or if you lost pay. And I mean, it's a hard one to figure out, but I haven't heard the banks say anything like if they go, like the banks just keep quiet during this period. So is it that now, if people, let's assume I lose my job, but I get furlough. I'm not getting pay for the 2 or 3 weeks of this lockdown. Or I only paid and I'm not going to get paid at all. But I have a loan by the bank. Is the bank still doing those concessions and those little things where people could get some time off from the loan and the credit card and them things and get some little breathing time? I'm not sure. I'm not seeing any of that. But salute to Coleman Burt. We didn't hear from him in a long time. And he come out with a little relief, a little grant and thing, you know what I mean? That's nice. If it was over a few months, that would be good. But who knows what we could afford at this point in time. And you know, as I'm talking about them too with this press conference thing, I find it strange that Fitzgerald Hines, like, you only make it about that is it for Fitzy. Fitzgerald Hines, as the Minister of National Security, make it to about 2 or 3 press conferences, looking like he was dropping asleep in one. And we right back to Stuart Young. You know, Stuart Young is not the Minister of Energy, but he seemed to be the one present to be making comments and taking questions. I guess he's still in the office of the Prime Minister, is he? But he's still taking questions and making himself present for those press conferences. So I know who I prefer and who I could listen to for longer, if it's he or Fitzy. And of course, you know, I can't get through an episode without talking about the government and the opposition. And I saw that the UNC has finally, well, let me not say finally, because I know it sound like if they've said that they are always here to work with the government and they have several suggestions and they're willing to work together and they're willing to unite. I hope to see that over the next week. I'm hoping that by the time we come back here next week, we're talking about 2 of them coming together, 2 of them and their experts and parties and advisors and everybody coming together to say, listen, what we need is a national plan. And I hope 2 of them sit down and genuinely listen to one another. No more blank man talk and no more shut your mouth and drink your rum. We don't have time for the look what happened in the country this week. The whole place got everybody. If Trinidad was never a place that used to be somber and reflect, we turn into that this week. Everybody looking frightened, people looking worried, people, you know what I mean? This is a real good time for it to come together and say, hey, let me think. Bring Watson too, because I know what happened in Tobago. It seems as though that situation where that THA election was hung and it's 6-6, that going and ride out till it have a next THA election. So I don't know if nothing going to happen in Tobago between now and then. I don't know how that works. But bring he too. Everybody who in charge of governance here, let we come together and genuinely listen to one another, hear the suggestions of the opposition leader. Here was what the Prime Minister really had to deal with on a day-to-day basis with I'm going to say children, with students, no, with citizens who refuse to listen and had yelling, crying and things. Well, come together, you know what I mean? Talk about it. See what the other side constraints are, and you see what the other people's suggestions are, and then talk to your party members as well, particularly for the Kamala and the people in the UNC, because I'm not understanding why at a time like this. I was talking about the Express a while ago on the topic of vaccines. We get the AstraZeneca vaccine first shot done. We hoping to get back a next set to do the second set. Men said again that they went on to say that they're getting some Sinopharm. I know how to pronounce it, Sinopharm or Sinopharm vaccines coming in. And Dr. Rudal Munilal, in his wisdom, come out with a whole statement to say we shouldn't trust that because there's an emergency vaccine. And I mean, my understanding is that all of them were emergency vaccines. This is an emergency. But he's saying that he basically coming out and said, don't trust, don't let us be guinea pig. This man study what they're saying, boy. I wonder if they think through what they're going to say in terms of the effect it have on people, or if it's just for personal gain, or like my theory is just oppose everything. So them in a WhatsApp chat somewhere where no matter what they say we're going out, we attacking them. But the man said, don't let us become guinea pigs for no vaccine. And this, I mean, a lot of people in the world taking that Sinopharm vaccine. China, who would have the largest population in the world, that was one of the main vaccines that they were using. It's like, dude, why you would say that? Why it's like me asking Express, like, why say Frankie can't take the vaccine the week? But what are you saying that for if you have nothing to substantiate it or to make a tie between the two? I find Israel irresponsible or Rudal Munilal at a time like this. If he had do that around January when the numbers was real low, February, March when numbers was low still, I don't think it would have bothered me as much as you're doing that in the midst of what we're going through now, boy, with doctor pass away, nurses passing away, healthcare system collapsing. You're rejoicing at that? Asking that of the opposition in general. Is that something to rejoice about? So in your mind, the government failed, because I saw Kamala Port that thing saying she's willing to work with the government, but the first 3 paragraphs was a kind of attack and belittling and saying they ain't do nothing good. And I'm not sure if that is the best way to make an overture to people. But it making me wonder, like, when you all see this, you're celebrating that, you're happy. It collapsed, people dying. You want to see the bodies. Like, I don't know. This is why I saw, and maybe that's why I talk about them every week, because I'm not sure. I want an alternative, you know. I want an alternative. I want somebody else to vote for. But when all they come with them things, who all they appealing to? All you really think you're going to attract the undecided voter to decide on that? Like, we want you in charge. Like, you're going to govern. You're going to be in charge. And this is how irresponsible you are with your statements. If it's not you, it ain't good. If you didn't bring it in and you didn't, I mean, come on. And he now get vaccinated. That's the funny thing. One of the newspapers carry a report saying he now get vaccinated the other day. So he good to go. But he basically it's just stopping just short of telling people don't take the vaccine. And basically saying Dr. Rowley should be the first one to take the vaccine as confirmation that the thing's safe. I mean, like, come on now. Like, how tone deaf you could be. You're not seeing what happened around. You're not seeing how worried people are. But there's the thing, I had to go back to my partner one theory. We must vote out. We must only let men get 5 years in power at a time. As you're done, bust your throat. Vote for the opposition and bring somebody else in. Because the problem is, like, just where I start off the episode, this fella's like, it wasn't on no promenade. It's one of the biggest issues I feel with politicians in our country. They're not wrong. Everything when they're on the road and thing, it's scheduled activities. They ain't going on the promenade. Go on the promenade a little bit more. Go down Harris Promenade. Go Brian Lara Promenade. Spend time. Go down on the wharf. You know what I mean? Come down in Shagona. See what is happening down by the market. Like, come out your car. Walk around. I saw an article with a dude from Jamaica. And I didn't even know what happened in Jamaica too. There's a whole next thing I see in a shootout between police and bandit. On what look like on the corner of Hope Road and Trafalgar Road to me. That is a main junction, a huge, and it's shootout and people like walking towards it to see what is happening. I was like, it's the strangest thing. But I saw an article, I think it's BC Perez, did an article interviewing a Jamaican guy who live in Trinidad and his take on Jamaica and stuff. And he said in that interview, walking through a city gives you a different perspective. And that's facts to me. Like, when you travel different places, and I mean, now it's more Uber and that kind of thing. Even that removes you from what the real culture of the place is. To get the culture in a place, I always find you have to go down in the town, like walk around, go in the shops, buy things, sit down and eat in them places and that kind of thing. And taxi drivers, like not Uber and them thing, what they call robot taxi. You know what I mean? Go in a taxi a point-to-point taxi, a route taxi, and talk to people, you know what I mean? Meet people in the hub, the city gates of the country, meet people there, talk to people, talk to taxi drivers. That's give you a real good perspective of what a country is like. And I like to travel that way, where you get to feel. I don't like to go to places and you go in the resort and that's it, you never come out of the resort, you don't know nothing about the thing. I like come out and talk to people, get a different perspective. That is what that is what I travel for. Is a part of the education, if you ask me. So it's like politicians themselves had to remember that. Treat Trinidad and Tobago as a place where you've never been. And go and talk to people. From what I understand, is one of the biggest advantages Watson Duke have over everybody in Tobago. You know, they say he's a man on the ground. He's talking to people all the time. So even when you get in power or in opposition, which is all part of the government, actually go on the promenade and weep now. Because some of the things you see on the promenade on a daily basis outside of COVID could make you weep a little more than one tear. I did. You could spend more time on the ground, like pass around, talk to people, see what he's seeing, see what actual people, see what $1,500 could do for a man when you give him that once in May when he lost his job. And that's what I mean when I talk about Rudal Munila and them, like reading the room, like understanding, like y'all for real, y'all think you think this is attractive to people. There are people who gonna support you regardless of what you're saying, but you might need more people than them to get in power. If anything, the last 10 years show the UNC is that your base cannot get you elected. So we had to make better statements than that. Rudy, come on, you now get vaccinated. We're trying to get past something. But I'm glad to see all in all that the opposition leader is willing to work together. It wasn't the best handshake extension I've ever seen, but at least it's an extension. And I hope Dr. Rowley, he's a man is trip when he's ready. The man in the middle of the thing last week, the man is just like, what you say, boy? Oh, I don't want to hear nothing from the opposition about borders because it's them who have it's their friends who have all the whole houses. I say, well, whole house reaching, whole house reaching this. But he's a man is get mad, so I implore of Dr. Rowley, don't get vexed, don't get mad, keep calm, and find a way to come together and talk to one another. Remember when you and Guy Griffith was falling out, but like come and talk. It's your good that work out. Everybody like one another again. Like come in and talk now, man. It's serious matters. But anyway, before we get out of here, I had to play some live song for Dr. Munilal now. Terrence Dialsing. Great job. Thanks for everything that you're doing. But you lie. You ain't sure no damn thing and no promenade. So the first song I want to play for him is a song by a man by the name of Terror. I don't know if all you know this song, but it's so appropriate because my favorite line in this song is the line with tears in the eye. I wonder if all you know this song, boy. Taking this song by Terror, a line with tears in the eye. It's dedicated to my boy Terrence Dialsing.
I don't know why Elcina she put full terror. I don't know why Elcina she put full terror. Because they are better the woman to say she my name Henry Ford from the USA. I say who? She said the man makes a motor car. That is my man, he's a millionaire. He just give me money. I don't take, I say plenty money. She say wait, money by the buckets because I love him, I won't take it. Don't doubt me. If I tell you something, there I go ball. He does give me motor cars and all, and he watching me straight in the eye. Oh my Lord, that woman could lie. She damn lie. I haven't a thing to give Elcina, but yet she says she loved Terror. I said, darling, you can't fool me because no love without money. Men men like Henry Ford and Paul Getty have money that they could full up the sea. So don't try to fool up my brain with lie. You know the woman is across and they start to cry. They say they give money, I don't take. I say plenty money. She say wait, money by the bucket. Because I ain't love them, I won't take it. So don't be. If I tell you something, there are you gon' ball. They just give me motor cars and all. And she watching me straight in the eye. Oh Lord, that woman could lie. She down line. Last time I met Elsina at Shaka Cubana, she said this place belongs to me. Tara, do you love the scenery? I said yes, honey bunch, I am proud and glad. You know you're holding nice portion of the yacht. She said I can bring the receipt to show. I bought it from my Indian in Miaro. I have my own courthouse, did you know? I'm having my own jail tomorrow. And I would never lie to you, dear. I'm the owner of Woodford Square. High-low supermarkets, all is mine. You can get your goods free anytime. And I'm going to the moon in July. Bye-bye. That woman could lie. She down line.
All right, I'm only playing one more. That's Terror. I don't know if people, I ain't sure how popular that song is and if people know it or not, but it's one of the sweetest little lie song it have for them about shed a tear. But the next one is one of my favorite too. I'm not going to play Lying Excuses. And not King Liar is what most people know from Lord Nelson. I ain't going to play that, right? We know that already. But they have another one from Sparrow. Plenty of people should know this too, Lying Excuses, where in my very humble opinion is one of the greatest calypsos ever written. And for you to write a song like this, Sparrow had to be a liar in real life. You couldn't make up all these sort of lies. You know what I mean? Nelson make up some lies. They had me watching him sideways. But Sparrow make up some lies here that is some of the greatest of all time. So if you never heard this song before, whether you know it or not, you had to listen to this song down to the last verse to get to know what kind of liar Sparrow really is. And how to lie too, so you don't have to repeat yourself and say, well, I drove into the city of Port of Spain and I drive along Marine Square, which used to be called Independence Square, which is now called Brian Lara Promenade, and I wept a tear and it fell on my brow. You don't have to go through all that. You could just get to the point and you have to be a smooth liar like Sparrow. So take this one here, Lying Excuses.
Dumpling, don't get so mad. Please let me explain. Do darling, sugar dumpling, you don't get so mad. Please let me explain. I'm telling you the truth. If you see me with some woman, I don't want to misunderstand. Whatever you might see me do, know my love is true. I'm not being unfaithful to you. The woman you catch me with in the bed really didn't have no place to rest your head. Business closed down, she lost she work. Disappointed, suffering from shock. Only takes she home so to relax and cheer she up. You know how them things does go. I'm exhausted, she said to me. Sparrow, I'm so tired and so sleepy. Casually she sat on the bed and asked me to massage her leg. That's all, that is all, that is all. Oh God, darling, that is all. For confusion. Oh no, don't take them on. Just be trusting and don't dig nothing. Try and understand. I'll never do you no wrong, baby. Darling, you I'll never deceive. There is no need to disbelieve. Keep your trust and your faith in me, and I promise you there'll be no infidelity. The woman you saw me with the other night, she and she man, they just had a fight. And I find it was really looking so bad. The man kicked she clothes in the yard. She sit down there and start to cry like she going mad. Oh, Lord. The $2,000 I gave to she was to buy a sandwich and a coffee. Not another thing happened. Me and this girl ain't nothing. That's all, that is all, that is all. Oh, come, darling, that is all. Let nobody cause you to be jealous and confused. Don't mind them and the news. You hear me, baby? They want me to mash up so they could come and shock up. Girl, when you refuse, we'll be like two fools singing the blues, singing the blues. I don't know why these women don't stop, always trying to set me up, trying to give you the impression something wrong when my darling nothing ain't going on. The girl I was with behind the lamppost, don't vex because I was holding she close. Well, she's a old thief from in the east. Is somebody herring she teeth? I was only trying to hold she for the police, just doing my civic duty. The reason they had was in she bosom. I was feeling to see if she had a gun. She didn't have no gun by she chest, is why I was searching under she dress. That's all, that is all, that is all. Oh, come, I wouldn't lie to you. Just because I am such a nice guy, some way, somehow, it always leaves me in wrong. You hear me, baby? Helping people seem to be my trouble. Oh, I see it now, but no more will this be allowed. I'm putting down my foot. From now on, they go help themselves. Take their troubles to someone else. It's too much canker and confusion, and I know to myself I am an innocent man. I know they will tell you me and Miss Lynch was seen making love on Maracas Beach. Well, the fact is she had on a bikini and was attacked by African bees. Very bravely I cover she with my whole body. A brave heroic feat. She locked my neck and she grabbed my hand. The woman pulled me down in the sand. A bee sting me on me behind. I couldn't help it, I had to whine. That's all, that is all, that is all. Oh, come, I would lie to you, baby. You think I would lie to you? I love you too much to tell you make me lie like that.
Hi, Sparrow. Lying excuses. I tell you, Sparrow is a liar in real life, you know, so that's about it. I hope you enjoy it. Now, listen, this was a hard balance between coming here and laughing and doing what I want to do and trying to stay serious enough to deal with very serious things. But all jokes aside, we're dealing with a serious issue here and plenty of people at risk. All of us, healthcare workers, everybody, we at risk. And we had to find ways to do the right thing. I read an article this week about Seychelles being one of the top vaccinated countries in the world. It's a small country. They have just about 100,000 people, just under 100,000. But 60-something% of the population are already vaccinated, making them one of the highest vaccinated populations they have. And it's the same thing I was saying about that Peltzman thing, because people vaccinated, everybody feels safe, and everybody out and bad. As I had planned to do, once I get vaccinated, I want that. In my mind, vaccination and thing is done with mask and distance and all these things, But in reading and following their story, like, check it out if you haven't seen this story yet, because they're going back into lockdowns now and having to close schools again because the number of cases rising again, threatening their healthcare system. So it shows us that while we had our period of doing very well, this is not an indictment on us that we're going through this. This is a virus. Like the flu and thing, I mean? I don't know anybody who never get the flu, and we'll reach a point in the future where you don't know anybody who get COVID. But right now, we individually, I like to come here and talk about government and opposition and thing, but them fellas don't have the answers. None of them. We have the answers ourselves. We've seen what happened in the world, and there's a lot of precautions that we could take to safeguard ourselves. The simple things, the washing your hand, the distancing, the wearing your mask, the staying home if you're sick, get tested if you're not feeling good. You know what I mean? Those are things we had to get back to the basics. And over this next 2 weeks in Trinidad and Tobago in particular, we had to be our brother's keeper. Take care of ourselves, make sure we're good, so that when we come, we ain't accustomed to this, boy. And I know everybody heavy. I heavy too. It's heavy. But the only way to get out of this is to do the right thing and to comply as much as possible and really just batten down so that we could rally through. And we hope by the 23rd we back to where we used to be in terms of very few cases and no sort of morbidity and thing in the society. But until then, we'll keep monitoring it and seeing where it is. But I'll talk to you guys next week. Thanks so much for listening. And YouTube, if I'm having any problems with the episode, I'll fix it with the songs. I had to find a solution for that overall. But again, you could subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, TuneIn Radio, Amazon. You can find it on Audible, all those places if the YouTube episode given any problems. But until then, next week.